I do too. If I were you. I know you scared. I do too. If I were you. You better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game. 'Cause all of us you better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game. You better bring your A game.
What is up, everybody? JJ Vikings here with a special guest, Dakota Rose, but otherwise known as Spitfire Koda, which I love that name, by the way. Very creative. From Vikings Twitter.
Thank you.
And a very passionate fan. Welcome to the show, by the way.
Thank you. I'm so excited to finally be here. This genuinely has been on my bucket list for since last season, so thank you for having me.
Of course. And I wanted to jump right into it by asking the question that we all want to hear. How did you become a Vikings fan?
Yeah, so I probably a little bit more unconventional than some people. I'm originally from Southern California. I was born in Southern California, as was my dad, but he has been a Vikings fan his whole life. And so when I was born, the decision was made that I would also be a Vikings fan. Well, about a month later, we drafted the one, the only Randy Moss. So my fate was sealed, became a Vikings fan purely because of Randy Moss. And over the course of my life, it's been really interesting. I like to say that my life follows the life of the Minnesota Vikings. I have seen things happen for me that can be translated to what happens for them in football. And then, when I started getting bigger and bigger on Twitter, I decided to sort of dedicate more of my life to them. And, now I have a tattoo for the Minneapolis Miracle on my ankle. So,
wow. 7-year-old me was actually definitely very excited about that play.
Yeah.
A play that definitely changed my life. Stephon Diggs making the play against those two Saints defenders. Marcus Williams was one of them, and I think the other one was Ken Crawley. So
yeah. I actually got to meet him 2 weeks after he caught the Minneapolis Miracle. I was working with Best Buy at the time, and so he stopped by this really cool thing we were doing for the Super Bowl, and it genuinely changed my life. It was before he became the diva of the guy that he is now. He was really nice to me, at least. So,
yeah, this new Stephon Diggs, I like the way he plays. It's just his attitude can kind of make things kind of bad for him sometimes, unfortunately.
Right.
And also, what are your thoughts on this draft class?
I am in love with it. Kwesi was cooking. We all thought he was cooking last year. He made a gourmet 4 Michelin star meal for us this year. I mean, obviously, it's no surprise to anyone that I've been on the JJ McCarthy hype train since March. You can look at the receipts. But the fact is that not only were we able to get JJ McCarthy for really a lot less than people wanted us to throw away for, Drake May. Because of that, we were also able to get Dallas Turner. Kai was a really good, I think that's how you say his name. Kai was a really good pickup. I just think overall, not only did we fill the holes in the areas that we needed it, because I personally have been saying that I think we needed more cornerbacks. I think we did it in a really strategic and skillful way. Plus, not to mention the fact that it's looking like we'll get another 2025 draft pick because of the Kirk Cousins Falcons situation. So, all in all, A+ to Kwesi, genuinely.
Absolutely, and I think the whole story of the draft was getting Dallas Turner, such a dynamic defensive player, and the fact that we were able to have a really low risk for a very potentially extremely high reward. I think it's hats off to Kwesi for that. I think he's becoming more aggressive, but also more smart, and he knows what to do with his picks, how to use them, and I think that's something that really gives him a lot of credit for the team, or at least from the team as well. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions I was going to ask you was, do you like JJ McCarthy? But that's been answered already.
Yeah, I'm so excited about JJ McCarthy. I actually posted my reaction to him being drafted on TikTok, and it went viral. I
saw that.
I'm so excited. My JJ McCarthy jersey should be, on its way any moment now. I think just from everything that I was seeing, even with everyone going, no, we're getting Drake May. No, we're getting Drake May. JJ McCarthy's play style is unique in that it's very reminiscent of the play style that we've been going with Kirk Cousins. But he, in my opinion, is a lot quicker of a decision maker than Kirk Cousins. Obviously, he's got those wheels on him where Kirk Cousins didn't. And so I think JJ McCarthy, and in addition with Sam Darnold, I think they're both really good transitional points from Kirk Cousins into this new territory, this new undiscovered territory that we're about to get into as Vikings fans.
Exactly, definitely. And I wanted to kind of touch base on free agency. You know, we just signed Robert Tonyan, which I'll do a separate video about that. But free agency in general, I think, has been pretty good for the Minnesota Vikings as well. But, you know, nothing crazy, but I kind of like it so far. How about you?
Oh, no, 100%. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I got some flack for this on Twitter, but when the Kirk Cousins to the Falcons thing dropped, I was very, very emotional about it because he was one of my favorite players for the longest time. But of course, I'm a Vikings fan before I'm a Kirk Cousins fan. I think that a lot of people's concerns were obviously our interior on the defensive line, and I think we fixed that with Greenard. I think we fixed that with some of the other pickups that we did and with Dallas Turner now that we don't have Danielle Hunter anymore. I think the addition of a new kicker and getting rid of Greg Joseph, to me personally, was the biggest thing that I wanted to have happen in this offseason. And I think was one of the things that people were like, yeah, okay, like we'd want it. But there are other things where me personally, I thought that getting rid of a kicker and getting a new one was the most important. I am interested to see how the defensive back battle is going to go this offseason, because now I think we have at least 7 or 8 that we've picked up from both the draft and free agency. I'm curious to see if that means that a Caleb Evans is going to be one of the people cut after June 1st. I'm interested to see what this means for Lewis Cine, because I know the fan base is really split on how they feel about him. I'm interested to see, of course, like you just said, we just picked up a new tight end. So, like, what does that mean for Josh Oliver? What does that mean, you know, where does that mean anything about where TJ Hawkinson is in his recovery? So I think there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered, but for the most part, I'm satisfied with what we've been able to achieve so far.
Me too. And the thing with our interior defensive line is we signed on Jerry Tillery, but he's not actually a traditional defensive tackle. Like, that's not really his main role, but he does play in the interior throughout a lot of spots. You can think of him as a James Lynch kind of player, who can move around all around the interior. Whether it's to stop the run or rush the passer. And I think those are some very important roles for the players. And with Lewis Cine, thinking of him makes me think of Cal Hamilton, and I really don't want to think of Cal Hamilton right now. So,
really?
Because of, it just reminds me, like, I was actually sitting in a pizza place just waiting for number 12 to be announced. Like, we're all like, Cal Hamilton, Cal Hamilton, Cal Hamilton. And then I see we go up to 32 and get Lewis Cine, and obviously that didn't really work out so far. Yeah. But the two words, or the two names, Kyle and Hamilton, just Vikings fans don't want to hear that right now. You know, ever since the 2022 NFL draft and the opportunity missed. But as you can see, Kwesi definitely gradually got better with his draft picks, and he really showed that. He really showed his good decision making, his ways of going about things and not letting the pressure, overtake him. And that's something that I will always respect about him as well.
Absolutely.
And what are your thoughts on the schedule?
I have so many thoughts on the schedule. It's not even funny. I am well known for my positivity on Twitter. That's one of the things that I think has gotten me where I am in the Vikings community. I really dislike this schedule. I'm going to be so honest. I think when I was making the episode with Vikes Now last night, surprisingly, there were more things I hated about it than likes about it. I'll start with the positives first of all. I'm from the West Coast. I live in California, so obviously I'm very excited that they're playing out here against the Rams. Very, very excited that, as Paul Allen calls me, the West Coast Spitfire will be in attendance. I am excited that they have given us a return game with Kirk Cousins. I'm happy to see And I have said this a couple times now. I'm happy to see how Kevin O'Connell pushes Kirk Cousins' buttons. We know that Kirk Cousins, when he gets in his head, he really gets in his head. He really gets into his emotions. And I think Kevin O'Connell knows Kirk Cousins better than Kirk Cousins knows KOC. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. I'm interested to see if we'll see a flip-flop of last year's divisional win, with the Detroit Lions winning it at US Bank Stadium, which they will not let me live down on TikTok, by the way. They remind me of it constantly. So I'm excited to see if we're able to take the division in their home. As for what I dislike about this schedule, I hate that even though we start off with a relatively easy game like the Giants, like Dustin Baker said last night on Bikes Now, it's almost a must-win game because we follow it up with the Niners at home and then Green Bay Packers and Lambeau. I really dislike how our bye week is one of the earliest in the NFL. I think there's 2 teams that have it week 5. We have it week 6. Hate that. Hate the fact that we once again have a primetime game against the Bears. And lastly, again, as a West Coast fan, I hate the London games. I know that's a controversial opinion, but I have to get up at 6:30 in the morning for those games. Not too excited about that.
I don't like playing against the Bears on prime time. It just gets so ugly all the time. Like the score is like it's so low scoring, so many turnovers, and it's just not fun. It's honestly really disgusting, and I don't like that at all. And what I didn't like either was the order of the schedule. The teams, like the order the teams that we were playing against, I think was really important as well. And gosh, I am just so dying to see like Dallas Turner just like sack Kirk Cousins like a game-winning sack, and then just yell "you like that" and like dance.
Yeah. It's gonna be great. I'm really excited. I think though, because Vikings fans do travel really well, and so I think because we have a bunch of stretches where it is mostly traveling, I think while it's gonna suck for the most part for our team, I don't think they're really gonna feel like they're at a different stadium. We saw it in the 2022-2023 season. Vikings fans travel well, and I think a lot of people are going to be lining up, outside those stadiums just to see JJ McCarthy.
It's also the West Coast. Like I saw when we played the Chargers in 2021, there were some Skull chants in that stadium. Like it was not just all Chargers. Like there were many Vikings fans there. The crowd was split. That's what I noticed. The crowd was like split. I noticed that a lot. There was no they were kind of divided. Like it wasn't just all one team, because like Vikings fans, they go everywhere basically.
Oh yeah, and you best believe I'll be one of those people starting the Skull chant when we play in LA this season. That'll be
all kinds of chants like that. And about the schedule, I actually have the entire schedule written down on this piece of paper. And week 1 at the Giants. I know you already went over the schedule with the guys yesterday at GG Sports Podcast, Minnesota Sports Talk, and Vocal Vike, but I really wanted to go over this. So I think we beat the Giants. But real quick, I don't know who's going to start. Considering how big of a fan I am of JJ McCarthy, I want him to start right away. But I want the Vikings to know that he's set up for success and doesn't want to like get thrown into a situation too early that he's not ready for. But at the same time, I really just want to see him out there. Honestly, I really want to see him out there. But I think we beat the Giants, and I actually think we could beat the 49ers too. I think after showing what we could do last year, Jordan Addison having himself a breakout game against the Niners, I think that could possibly be the case again. Tack on Justin Jefferson, tack on Hawkinson's not going to be playing, obviously, but I think we still have better situations to look at, including our defense is getting it's improving, but the Niners defense is just still very, very dynamic, still very fast. Nothing's changed about that. Fred Warner's still playing really good. Their safety, his last name is Hufanga, I think. Yeah, that's his last name. He's playing really well too, and just lots and lots and lots of dynamic players. Dre Greenlaw, who I feel really bad for what happened to him in the Super Bowl. That was just really unfortunate. Listen, I swear, I saw that Pat Mahomes felt bad for him, but I knew in his mind, I knew in his mind, he was like, all right, time to go to Kelsey all day now. Kelsey, because Dre Greenlaw wasn't there anymore, and that was unfortunate. but I do think we beat the Niners. The Texans, I don't see it happening, but we could definitely squeeze in a win, but it just doesn't look like it's there. And Stephon Diggs coming back to US Bank Stadium, this time on the opposing side, that's going to be pretty interesting.
Right.
But CJ Stroud, he's gotten a lot better, and I respect him too much to talk down on him.
Mm-hmm.
But I do see the Texans winning, honestly, sadly.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. I've been saying I don't know if the Texans really gain or lose anything by getting Stephon Diggs. It's just kind of there, in my opinion. I mean, it'll be nice to see him play in US Bank Stadium again, whether he's on our side or their side. Like I said, he has a soft spot in my heart, but I'm on the same page as you. I think the Niners are an easy team to beat. We saw last season that they're one of the teams that takes a little bit of some time for them to really take off. They have a little bit of a rocky start, and then usually they take off. The Giants are a no-brainer win, but like I said earlier, they are a mandatory win. We have to win that game week 1 if we are going to establish ourselves the way that we want to. I think we start with Sam Darnold. Again, I love JJ McCarthy. We all know how much I do. I'm not sure if he's going to be ready week 1. I know that Kevin O'Connell has said that he has some pretty strict measures for him to, kind of gain up to in order to be able to start. And so that might change going into preseason. We start with the Raiders in preseason. So seeing how he goes up against that defensive squad, whether it's, their starters or their B-listers, it's still a pretty intense defense. So I think that week 1 start, or that preseason week 1 start against the Raiders, will be the true stick in which we measure whether or not we will see JJ McCarthy week 1.
Yeah, I hate must-win games in the beginning of the season. That's just terrible. That's really terrible.
It sucks. It really, really does. Especially because it's the Giants. Like, at no point would you ever think, wow, the Giants are the team to beat. But unfortunately for us, especially considering the last time we played them, they are a must-win team, and it can't be a dirty one either. It has to be a nice, clean cut, at least a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdown win. Can't be a field goal difference. Can't be a last-second, Hail Mary attempt. It has to be we have the lead right away, and we maintain it the whole time against the Giants.
Exactly. I'm not a big fan of starting off the season away. I like starting off the season knowing that you have that home crowd in week 1. That's just something that's been natural for me, especially the consistent years of the Vikings having a home game in week 1. They've had it for a lot of years now, consistently at least. So they started off with a home game so I'm going to count off the years that I've seen the Vikings start with a home game. So 2018, they had a home game. 2019, they started off with a home game. 2020, they started off with a home game. 2021, oh, no, they didn't do it in 2021. In 2022, they did, though.
Yeah.
Against the
Packers.
Last year. Yeah, exactly. Against the Bucks, I was at that game. And
so was I!
Yeah, an unfortunate loss, though. With the classic uniforms on, too.
I know. It was my best friend's first ever Vikings game, too. We're planning on – she lives in Tennessee, but we're college roommates, so – we have this thing where we're starting to travel every year with one another. Last year was Minnesota. We saw the Bucks lose. It was her first Vikings game. This year, I'm going to Tennessee where she's from, so I will be in attendance for the Tennessee Titans Vikings game as well. Hopefully this time she sees a Vikings win. Fingers crossed.
I watched the show yesterday. Her name's Brooke, right?
Yeah, Brooke.
Yeah, I watched the entire show yesterday, so yeah.
Oh, yeah. She was tortured into becoming a Vikings fan. I'll be so honest. She was my college roommate. I would force her to watch the games with me. She held me as I cried during the Giants' loss in the playoffs.
No kidding. I tortured my mom to be a fan with me too. I had to pry her away. Yeah, I had to pry her away from anything else. It was like, Mom, come watch Vikings football with me. But now it's like, Mom, come analyze Vikings football with me. So that transition is something that, is amazing for me.
Yeah.
And week 4 against the Packers in Green Bay, Aaron Jones, I want to see him run hard against his former team. I want to see Robert Tonyan get some catches. His last really good year was probably 2020. Mm-hmm. And I think that the Vikings do get a win, but it's not going to be pretty. it's not going to be pretty going into Lambeau Field. But we have to be grateful that we're not going into Lambeau later in the season.
Oh, absolutely.
That's something we have to take into some gratitude, because that's something that's very important. Playing in Lambeau in November, December, January, February. Well, not February. That'd be the Super Bowl, but December, January. Those aren't the best years, and I'd never see a Super Bowl being hosted in Lambeau Field. Absolutely not.
I don't think they have the space. I think they literally can't host a Super Bowl there because the city of Green Bay is so small that they don't have the capacity. I think next year they have the draft, but I think that's it. I don't think they can ever do a Super Bowl. And I agree. Like the early Green Bay game is pivotal. I agree. I think it'll be a win. I think it'll be dirty, but I mean, it doesn't surprise me because they have dirty Jaheir Alexander. And I've said it before, I'll continue to say it. As much respect as I have for Jordan Love, he is definitely a quarterback, as we saw last season, that takes time to really get into the groove. And so I'm interested to see if that continues to be the case. I personally think it will. So it'll be a win, but I mean, it's the Packers. So it'll be nitty, it'll be gritty, and there will definitely be some calls that probably should be called and some calls that definitely won't be called.
I saw one Vikings fan that said, if Jair gritties one more time, I'm going to break both of his kneecaps.
I legally can't support you, but listen, live your truth, bestie.
That was funny. The thing that I saw that said that was absolutely hilarious.
Oh my god.
But Jair may be annoying, but he's not Kirby Joseph. He's not that kind of dirty. Yeah.
I got a lot of heat last year because I tweeted out about the hit and I called it dirty. And I got a lot of heat from Vikings and Lions fans both being like, it wasn't dirty. You're just soft. I'm like, okay. As somebody who
Vikings fans giving you that heat. It was clearly dirty.
It was.
TJ Hawkinson,
who has had a similar injury to TJ Hawkinson, it is not an easy injury to recover from. I'm 3 years post when the actual injury happened and I'm still having knee issues. So it was dirty. I'm sorry, it was dirty.
Yeah, but at the same time, those guys have extended recoveries and extended workouts that can actually get them through kind of quicker. But it's not always a good thing because when you rush the recovery process, and then re-injure yourself. Let's say your body isn't fully recovered from that, even though you rushed it and tried to get it better. It can really have an even worse impact. It's like getting a needle pierced into you and then pulling it out too hard instead of the proper process. And now I just put a bad image in my head of a needle getting pierced into you. But yeah, no one wants that. But I think it's really important to have a good idea and have good awareness of what your injuries are, especially when you're a guy like TJ Hawkinson. And Aaron Rodgers, he's not on the Packers anymore, but we do get Aaron Rodgers the week after. I wish it was in US Bank Stadium. Why did it have to be in London? Why did it have to be in London? Yeah, but I said we get the win there. I think it'll be as exciting as the Vikings Saints game in London. I think it'll be that kind of excitement. Justin Jefferson going up against Sauce Gardner. I think we'll beat Sauce Gardner the same way he beat Marshawn Lattimore, no problem. And I think we go out there with the dub. And I can't give scores out because I just cannot do scores. I can only do wins or losses. That's all. I just cannot do scores. I'm not a numbers guy in that kind of way.
I'm the same way. I do on Vikes now. I do their Friday show during the season, and I'll do scores 2 days beforehand. But I can't do them on the fly. I tell a lot of people, I'll do wins, losses, and records for the season this early. But I'm not somebody who's going to project the actual score. I'm not somebody who's going to project the stat line for players this early. I don't even like to project where teams are going to be in their divisions this early. There's so much that could still change, but I absolutely agree. This is going to be a win. London loves us. It'll feel like a home game, even though it's not, but I agree. The NFL robbed us of being able to boo Aaron Rodgers in US Bank Stadium. Absolutely robbed us.
Yeah. I mean, there will be some fans to boo him in London, but it just won't be the same. It won't be.
It has to be in US Bank Stadium. It has to echo, man.
We have to hear those horns against Aaron Rodgers. We have to hear the horns. If we don't hear the horns, it's not correct.
Exactly.
And let's see, against the Lions. So after that dumb bye week, we play against the Lions. Now I'm part of me is trying so hard to give this win to the Vikings. Like I'm trying so hard to say this is a win. I'm forcing myself not to say otherwise, but I just have to say it's probably an early loss, unfortunately. The Lions, they have lots of weapons, but Lions fans are overreacting after one good year. Like the fact that they're going this hard over one divisional win just shows how petty their fans act, And it's just like since the Lions, I take this from Uncle Tony, actually, Tony Bell, who's also on Vikings Twitter. He's like the machine when it comes to Vikings history. Like he knows everything. The Lions, he says that they have practically no history, haven't won anything basically to him. So I don't think that their fans should overreact this much, or their team will probably get humbled sooner rather than later.
I don't remember who said it last night, but somebody said it last night that it's very similar to kind of like, the Vikings. We had a really good season and then we just kind of fell off, and then we have a really good season and then we kind of fall off. I think the Lions, like you said, they don't have the history. They are not familiar with this kind of success. They'll let it get to their head. And I think we kind of saw that a little bit when they played all of their starters week 18 last season.
This one I'm so excited for. I know. This one I'm so excited for. I know you're so excited for it too. Week 8. Prime time, Thursday night football, Vikings-Rams. Kevin O'Connell returns back to SoFi Stadium to play against Sean McVay, who Purple FTW podcast always says Sean McVay's never won a Super Bowl without Kevin O'Connell. I think that's pretty funny what he said. I think that was pretty funny there. But this is so exciting. Prime time. Kevin O'Connell's already beaten Bill Belichick. I think he can definitely beat Sean McVay as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very excited about this game. I'm very excited that for once the Vikings are coming to me versus me going to them. It's also going to be my grandfather's first ever NFL game. He is a Rams fan. He used to be a Packers fan. I'll take a Rams fan over a Packers fan any day. I'm very excited. I also have this as a win because similar to what you were saying, when we played the Chargers out here, it didn't seem like a Chargers game. And we've seen the same thing with the Rams. Yeah, the Rams do have a little bit better of a fan base out here. But ultimately, like I said, Vikings fans travel well. I will definitely make sure that our fans are loud in the stadium. Every time I go to a Vikings game, I throw out my voice. I didn't throw out my voice at a Taylor Swift concert, but I threw out my voice at the Vikings game. So what does that tell you? I think ultimately, my biggest fear with the Rams is our ability to stop Puka Nacua. But again, with those updates that we've made to our defensive line, it'll be a dub. It'll be a little bit of a dirty W, but I think it'll certainly 100% look good as a win.
Well, if Matt Stafford's on his backside, where's Puka Nacua going to be?
That's true. That's true. He's standing there right beside him, helping him up.
Yeah, and the Rams, I know this is going to be a win. I feel like it's going to be a win, but something scares me about this game. Sometimes you kind of get that feeling. And it scares me even more that it's on prime time, But there's nothing better than a prime time game at SoFi Stadium. Like, SoFi Stadium is so good at, like, hosting primetime games, in my opinion. Like, it's a really good stadium for that kind of energy. But I do see the Rams and the Chargers and even the Bills as the Vikings, but different teams. I really do. Yeah. I see the Chargers as the Vikings with better weather, same as the Rams. Definitely better weather, but I do see this as a win. Week 9 against the Colts at home. Not going to be as historic as I saw on the show last night, but like Uncle Jamie said from GG Sports Podcast, let's hope we don't allow a lead like that for us to get a win. Let's hope we don't allow that to get a win, obviously.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, my parents were at that last game, and it was really funny because at one point my mom was like, I think we might leave, and I was like, no, just stay. Even if it's a loss, just stay. And, look what happened. I agree. I think it'll be a win. I don't think Will Levis has his sea legs yet, for lack of a better term. I don't think it'll be as sad of a big first half shutout as last time. I think, honestly, if looking at this game, depending on who's at quarterback, I would personally say it might be a little bit of a defensive battle, but I think we come away with the win. At this point, I have it projected that JJ McCarthy has played in 3 games. This will be his 2nd game as a starter. I think he comes in halfway through week 7 just so that way he gets a taste of what it's like to play against the Lions. I think he fully starts week 8 against the Rams. That might be just me being a little hopeful, though, that I get to see his first ever start. But regardless, by this point, JJ McCarthy is in. I think it's a little rocky, but not, greatest comeback in NFL history rocky.
I feel bad for the fans who left that game and couldn't get back in after finding out what happened.
I know. That's why I told my parents to stay. I was like, with the way the Vikings season is going this year, just stay. Just stay. And they were on the end zone where most of the touchdowns happened. So I have a really, really grainy video of Adam Thielen's touchdown that got us within 1 touchdown of tying the game.
Man, I miss that guy so much.
I know. Me too, man. Me too.
Adam Thielen was a big part of my years as a Vikings fan. Since I was 6, Adam Thielen was one of the main guys I watched, and I watched him back when he was really fast. I'm talking when Cordell Patterson was on our team. Adam Thielen was a special teamer when I started watching him too. That was really crazy. I do see us getting a win against the Colts. Against the Jags, I do see us getting a win against them too. I think they don't really have it all figured out yet, but not all hope is lost for them. But I still do think we come out with the W. Trevor Lawrence isn't someone to be incredibly terrified of, so I think that's a win for us.
Agree. Yeah, I love Trevor Lawrence. I think he has the makings of a really good quarterback. I just don't think he has the team around him to do it. So I agree. I think this will be a win. Even if because they had these moments last season where they kind of had little sparks where maybe it was going to work. But even still, regardless on if they're having one of their bad moments or their good moments, it's still going to be a win. It depends on how clean of a win with how the Jaguars end up playing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. So what's really cool about the Jags is they actually have a swimming pool in their stadium, believe it or not.
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
It's at one of the higher seats. It has its own section, and I think the pool. I think it should be really cold since that's where it gets most of the sunlight too.
Yeah,
but I think that's also a really cool setup, really cool design that actually worked out for the Jags. I think that's a really cool stadium design. All stadiums have their own unique design, and I love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's better than I was talking about this with somebody. I love baseball. I'm a big baseball person. I grew up, my dad plays baseball, my little brother plays baseball. But I hate Major League Baseball stadiums because they're all so vastly different. And some of them have the Giant Stadium. They have that really weird little alcove that isn't in line with the rest of the stadium. And then, there's that whole thing with Target Field where they had to get rid of some trees when they were first there. I think there's
Gillette Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have that so they have a regular outside stadium, but to the side there's this gate looking area, right? I don't understand that. I don't even think fans can get in through there, so I don't understand the point of that.
The Major League Baseball needs to take notes from the NFL. You can make unique NFL stadiums that aren't stupid.
Exactly. And Soldier Field, I don't how some of the stadiums they have, you can actually see the buildings of the city through while you're inside the stadium.
Yeah.
I don't like the way Soldier Field shows the city, the buildings. It looks really uneven. Their stadium looks kind of uneven in a way.
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of weird.
It's old, it's falling apart, and I know people hate it when I say this, but Lambeau Field, yeah, it's historical, but it's uncomfortable. It feels like a high school stadium. I know that the Bears are finally getting their own stadium, but the Packers, I think they just need to stop, hoping that Lambeau Field can carry on with history in itself. It needs to come down. It needs something else.
Yeah, I'm kind of still embarrassed. I'm kind of embarrassed by what happened to our Metrodome. Honestly, I'm kind of embarrassed by that as a Vikings fan. But I'm kind of
Yeah.
glad we kind of paid respect to it by building our new stadium right where the Metrodome used to be. And the cool thing is you can see US Bank Stadium from anywhere in Minneapolis. It's like so cool. It's amazing.
My parents live right near the state fairgrounds, and so when we're on one of the bridges on Snelling, if you look to your left, if you're driving, north on Snelling, you can see it. And I always love it because if it's a nice sunny day, you can see the sun reflecting off of US Bank Stadium. And I don't know, every time I visit Minnesota, just that one shot of the Minneapolis skyline with the sun shining on US Bank Stadium, it feels right, it just feels like home.
Absolutely. And on to the Vikings Titans. Win. I don't see anything from Will Levis anytime soon. I see us getting it done together defensively, offensively. I'm not going to say easy win, but it's not going to be the hardest win in the world. So it's a win for Minnesota. Case closed. We beat Tennessee on Chicago in Chicago. And I think that's a win too.
Absolutely.
Ugly, but a win.
I don't buy the idea that the Bears are constantly one rookie quarterback away from being another dynasty. I don't. I love Caleb Williams. I love him as a person, and I love what he himself is trying to do with the fame that he has been handed, the cards that he's been dealt. But the Bears have so many more issues than just one quarterback that they could get all of the great quarterbacks combined into one human being. That could be Caleb Williams, but it will never, ever, ever be enough for them until they look internally. They look at their GM. They look at their coaching squad. I agree. It's a win. Both the Titans game, which again I'll be at hopefully, and the Bears at Soldier Field. They're both wins. I think the Bears win will be a little messy depending on how well Caleb Williams is doing in that system, but I don't see any reason why we shouldn't have at least 2 to 4 sacks on our defense at the Bears game, personally.
The Bears think they're one quarterback away from succeeding. I personally think they're one rookie quarterback away from a disaster, from a huge disaster. Considering how inconsistent they are with rookie quarterbacks, here's what I love. The Vikings always get these two things right. UDFAs and wide receivers. They will always get those right. Always. Always. Always that.
Absolutely.
But we will win against the Bears, but I do see another potential 19-13 kind of win.
Yeah, it's not I don't know what it is. I think the Bears Vikings games are cursed. That's actually one of my favorite games to go to. I love going to Bears Vikings games at US Bank Stadium. I think they're a lot of fun just because you kind of feel bad for the Bears fans a little bit. You just do.
I feel even sadder that they've actually won a Super Bowl before. That's what really ticks me off.
It's our turn, man. It's our turn.
Yeah. And against the Cardinals, Week 13, Kyler Murray, people say he has offensive weapons. I think the only weapons he has are the ones he's grinding for in Call of Duty, if you ask me. That's all, though.
Absolutely agree. And I think a new Call of Duty game, actually, we looked it up right before Vikes Now. I think a new Call of Duty game comes out a couple weeks before. And there's a new Assassin's Creed game that comes out right before. I think if he's a big Star Wars fan, a month before the new Star Wars Outlaw game comes out, Kyle Murray's, his head's going to be elsewhere. He's going to be thinking about getting prestige and all of his weapons on Call of Duty. It's never been a concern of mine. What?
Yeah, he'll get his Xbox or PlayStation in the hotel, he'll be playing in the hotel
Exactly.
before the game. Yeah, but I've never really been into those kind of games. I'm a Madden guy, always been a Madden guy, always will be, and
Okay.
I play on PlayStation, always have as well.
Oh, absolutely. PlayStation's the best. They have the best. I'm a big video game person. My PlayStation's literally right here. Big PlayStation person. It's the best console. I actually have Madden 24. I'm currently I'm playing through a season. If Kirk Cousins never tore his Achilles, what that would look like. Made me a little sad, so I had to stop. But
yeah, I saw this YouTube short that said Kirk Cousins' first touchdown against the with the Vikings, and his last one. And the way like they actually did the effects so well, like the screen darkened when it said last touchdown, and they put last in all red. Like it makes you want to cry right then and there, you know, or at least show some kind of emotion. And yeah, that's what I did. I didn't cry, but I felt sad. And also, it's tough. You know, he took the money over Minnesota.
He really did. And it sucks. It really, really sucks. And like I said, you know, I still have one of my smaller pictures up of him. My big one got taken down and replaced with Taylor Swift because that's how it goes. But I looked up to him, you know. My great grandmother passed away last year, and I looked to him for strength. I'm not like the most religious person ever, but just his the way he goes through adversity really, really inspired me because I was in the middle of graduating college, and it felt a little like a betrayal. I'm not gonna lie to you. Obviously, I've been around for Randy Moss getting traded, Stephon Diggs being traded, but this one just it hurt more. You know, it really, really to me in recent memory. Even Kyle Rudolph is my favorite Vikings player of history. I love the man deeply, but
Kyle Rudolph, I've watched him since I was 6 too, and I'd say my best years of watching him were 2017 to 2019. All those one-handed catches in the end zone, those were absolutely amazing. His energy is amazing. He is so big too. 6 foot. I think he's 6'6". Yeah. 260 pounds, or no, 65. So that's really crazy. That's absolutely insane. Like sometimes I see these guys stand next to like the average size reporters, and I'm like, are these guys even human beings? Considering how big they are.
Right. Did you see the picture of him next to JJ McCarthy? Because JJ McCarthy looks little. He looks tiny next to Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah. Kyle Rudolph is the kind of guy that'll make anyone look tiny, honestly.
That is why I want a picture with him. Because I'm 5'5", so I would love a picture next to him where it's like, you know, Kyle Rudolph and then me. I feel like it'd be hilarious. But also it's Kyle Rudolph, so like who wouldn't want a picture next to him?
I'm 5'3", so I think a picture of me and Kyle Rudolph is like taking a picture with like 10 me's on top of each other. 10 me's on top of each other. Maybe 15 or 20 for good measure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I miss him a lot. And I heard that he has been kind of he's been giving good advice to TJ Hawkinson too. I've kind of seen that as well.
Yeah.
Like kind of they've talked a little bit too. I think that's really important to know. Like it really shows the Minnesota culture and the fact that these guys are willing to stick around and not just leave Minnesota because they're done playing. They'll actually stay and mentor the younger players. And yeah, I think that's amazing.
And I think too, you know, because he went to the Giants. I actually bought his jersey and then 3 days later found out he went to the Giants. I was very sad. Because I've been following his career since Notre Dame. So he went to the Giants and then he went to the Bucs after they won the Super Bowl. And so for him to decide to come back and retire as a Minnesota Viking, I think just shows you everything you need to know about the Minnesota Vikings culture, both before and like during the Kwesi era. His dedication to this state, to this team, really, really, really proves just how much the Minnesota Vikings are that classy, that good organization for both players and their families and their fans alike.
Yeah, and you see Harrison Smith constantly taking pay cuts to stay with the Vikings and help try and win with them. I think that shows that he's really committed to the team and really wants to help win with them too. I think that's really important. And
Absolutely.
On to week 14 against the Falcons. I'm still mad about what they did to KJ Osborne. That really lives up to their name, Dirty Birds.
Oh, absolutely.
Dirty. But yeah, I see us getting a win against them. It won't be too much of a difficulty. What really made me mad was when we lost by like 17 to 20 points against the Falcons in 2020. It should have been an easy win, but it was like I was like, right. What is going on with the score? You know, like a year before that, it would have been an easy win against Atlanta, but you know, now that we're a better team, I see us getting the victory. Week 15 against the Bears is a primetime game. ugly, but a win.
Yeah, They need to stop giving us. I don't even think Bears fans, like, I think that is the one thing that Bears and Vikings fans can agree on, that they need to stop giving us that Monday Night Football game. I'm glad it's at US Bank Stadium this time. But like I said earlier, I think Kevin O'Connell knows how to push Kirk Cousins' buttons, and I think he will be giving like this like nice thick stack of like information about Kirk Cousins over to Brian Flores. And I think it's all going to be too much for Kirk Cousins. I think he's going to get in his head. I think he's going to get emotional. He's going to make those irrational decisions that we know that emotional Kirk Cousins does. And now that he doesn't have Kevin O'Connell on his side to calm him down, to talk him off the ledge, I think Kirk Cousins thinks he knows the Vikings, but if anybody knows anybody, it's Kevin O'Connell knows Kirk Cousins, knows how to push his buttons, knows where to line his guys up on defense. So it's going to be ugly for Kirk, and that makes me sad because, again, I love the guy, but oh, Kirko. Poor Kirko Chains.
Man, Sports and Stars with Jade, that's a YouTube channel name. Sports and Stars with Jade, that's the channel name. She loves to trash Kirk Cousins. It's so funny. It is absolutely hilarious. And I gotta send you her channel because she was like, man, this guy Kevin O'Connell always coddles Kirk too much and always has to make sure that Kirk is comfy. Like, it's just so hilarious. You need to see her channel.
Yeah, send it
never
over
was
to
a
me
Kirk fan, never will be. Absolutely. And yeah, we will beat the Falcons. We will beat the Bears. Monday Night Football. Hate that. Absolutely hate that. And then the week after, we play Seattle, week 16. The Seahawks are scary. They are scary. Their defense is scary. Wow. Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, and other guys that I'm missing. But just, wow. Didn't they get Bobby Wagner back too?
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to give Seattle the win, but it won't be the end of the world. I actually want I don't want Seattle to win. I want the Vikings to win, but if Seattle wins, I won't be mad or anything. Like, they deserve to win. They deserve to win games. And I'm curious, why do the Vikings always play the Seahawks in Seattle despite 2021?
I know. Right. It's like, do they really just like us getting rained on? Is that? I mean, like, sure, Seattle's nice. I was there for a layover recently. They have a very nice airport. They've got Grey's Anatomy, but let the Seahawks come here for once, please, 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 please. Skull Mafia, I'm so sorry. I will follow you back. That is my bad. I'll follow you back. I don't have notifications for Twitter turned on, so if you follow me, I probably didn't see it, and that's my bad. I also agree. I think the Seahawks is a loss. I mean, by this point, we're 10 games, our bye week was 10 games ago. We're going to be tired. This is a travel game. We don't have as much, time in between the Monday Night Football game against the Bears and the Seahawks to really recover. It's going to be a loss. I'm emotionally prepared for it to be a loss. I think, honestly, it's going to be a good thing that we lose too, because I think it'll give us enough motivation to carry us through the last 2 games of the season.
Yeah, I agree too. And I noticed that in 2018, 2019, and 2020, consistently, we played the Seahawks, and it was always in Seattle, and they were always wearing those lime green uniforms.
When they played those uniforms.
But they're so good. In my opinion, they're so good.
They look like highlighters to me.
Wow, no wonder you get heat for these opinions.
I know. Well, I'm also a fan of the primetime purple as well, so I feel like that you shouldn't take my opinion too seriously about the uniforms, because I know not a lot of people like the primetime purple. I love them. They have a very special place in my heart.
I love them too. I love them so much. We have a very, very good uniform design. I think the Seahawks would have had a better jersey if they had like a green helmet to go with it, in my opinion.
I could see that. I feel like I would like it better, yeah, if it was like a green helmet and it wasn't like the blue, the green, and then like I think usually they either wear the. Do they wear the green pants with them? Or is it?
Yeah.
Right.
Green pants.
But yeah, I think a green helmet.
Yeah, they do kind of look like highlighters. The Seattle highlighters.
Yeah, perfect.
That's actually not a bad name for whenever they wear the green. You
Could
know,
be a really cool
uh,
collaboration with the highlighter brand like Sharpie or something.
and week 17, the NFL is starting to do this thing where they play the Packers week 17 and the Lions week 18. It used to be Packers week 17 then Bears week 18, but I think we're transitioning over to the Lions to end the season. But I really hope we don't get kicked in the butt by the Packers like we did last time. I do see us getting a victory,
Mhm.
hopefully. And against the Lions, I do see it as an unfortunate loss. But we will make it to the playoffs and we will get to NFC Championship game.
Okay. Okay, I can respect
Yeah.
that. I agree. Packers is a win, especially because instead of it being at Lambeau like it usually is this late in the year, we're having it at US Bank Stadium, which after the road game is perfect. I personally have the Lions game as a win. Is it for a actual good reason? No. Deep down, I do think that the Lions game in Week 18 is a loss, but I put it as a win personally because I get followed by the I'm followed by the Detroit Lions on TikTok, and I posted a TikTok like you wouldn't last an hour in the asylum where they raised me, and it was US Bank Stadium, and they said, "Hey, we won the division there." So out of pure spite and rage and revenge, we are winning the division in Detroit this year. Like write it
Oh, I,
down,
I
bookmark
love
it.
that. That is something that I can respect. Where's that post? I want to bookmark that.
I'll send it over to you after this. But yeah, I agree. I think we go pretty far in the playoffs. I have been saying that I can see this being a year that 3 teams in the NFC North go to the playoffs. I think it's the Lions, Packers, Vikings. I think it's a close race for first, and I think it's a close race for second. I think the Bears do what Bears do best, honestly. And I
Yep.
feel bad saying that. The NFC North is going to be hard this year for sure, but it'll be the Vikings, Packers, Lions in the playoffs once again.
Yeah, definitely. And I still have some questions. So,
Yeah.
were you like a really big Kirk fan? While you
I
were while he was
was.
on the team.
I was. Well, actually, it's really funny. For the first couple of years, I actually wasn't, which not a lot of people would take me for. I was one of his biggest criticizers. I had a lot of not very good things to say about him, and it was really interesting because at this time I wasn't really following the Vikings as closely as obviously I do now, and it's for a wide variety of reasons why. But even still, I was very critical of Kirk Cousins, and then in the 2021-2022 season, something sort of flipped in me, and I don't really remember what game exactly it was. I don't remember why, but all of a sudden in 2021, I became a very big Kirk Cousins fan to the point where when we fired Mike Zimmer, I was so scared that we were going to get rid of Kirk Cousins. And then, from 2021 onward, I became his biggest fan. For a while, my handle on Twitter was Kirk's Minivan, which was given,
Yeah, I saw that too.
given to me. Yeah, it was given to me by a wonderful follower of mine. And, I have his primetime purple jersey. I put him on my graduation cap last June when I graduated college. But, and I'm not going to lie, and I got some flack for this on Twitter. I was very emotional when he chose the Falcons over us. It, like I said earlier, it felt like a betrayal. But, now that we're past it, we've got JJ McCarthy. I think I've come to peace with it. Part of me kind of hopes that he does what both Jared Allen and Kyle Rudolph does and decides to come back and retire as a Viking, on one of those one-day contracts. I doubt it, but
I just don't see Kirk doing that. I'm sorry.
I know.
I really don't. Like, I feel like as much as he loves Minnesota, I feel like Kyle Rudolph and those guys kind of have a bit more commitment to the state than Kirk does.
I agree. Yeah, it's
Kyle
a
Rudolph he didn't include Kirk in that thank you letter, by the way. That was
Did he not?
That was something. Yeah, he was like, "Thank you, like everyone." He didn't include Kirk on that list.
Dang.
Yeah.
I'm excited for all the tea to come out, though, about the locker room then, because I feel like Kyle Rudolph is usually not one to throw shade. So if Kyle Rudolph is throwing shade, something happened.
Yeah, definitely. And what is your best and worst Vikings memory?
Oh boy. I think my best Vikings memory would have to be, oh gosh. Other than meeting Stephon Diggs, I would probably say that it had to be the Colts game. I remember that game very, very vividly. I was sitting outside on my college campus watching that game. Usually when I was in college, I had like a whole ritual. I would walk to Starbucks, I'd come back, I'd get all positioned on our outdoor seating area. And I remember that game not just because my parents were there, but because by the second half, there was a bunch of people, a bunch of my friends had decided to come and watch the game with me because they wanted to make fun of me. And so I got to witness that game surrounded by a bunch of my friends, just like absolutely crying and screaming. I think we woke up a couple people, and I just remember sitting there thinking, like, this is why I love Vikings football, is because even if you're a fan of another team, you watch them play and you can't help but want to cheer for them. And like I said, at that point, I was really burnt out from college. I was really tired. And so seeing them have that historical comeback was really what I needed to propel me to graduate. My worst Vikings memory, and there are quite a few, I think has to be the Brett Favre interception in 2009. We were living in southern Minnesota at the time. We were watching it on a really big TV, and I remember it happened, and we turned off the TV, and my entire family, not just me, my dad, my little brother, my mom, but two of his brothers, his mom, my great grandmother, all of us were sitting down there in the basement in silence after, screaming at Brett Favre for what he did. We turned off the TV and just sat in silence. And I'll never forget just how sad we all were, and just the pure, like, what just happened mentality that we had. That for me is definitely the worst moment ever in Vikings history, personally.
For me, it was the 38-7 loss against the Philadelphia Eagles. I was 7 years old, watching with my with a family friend, my mom and dad, and yeah, my family friend, he just came over because he lived right next door to me at the time, back when I was still living in Minnesota, and I was just sitting there and watching because, like, I thought we were gonna win after that Kyle Rudolph touchdown, and then just touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, and I didn't even say anything. I was just like in shock. I didn't even make an expression. Like, I was just like, I had a blank face. Then I go upstairs, and obviously a tear comes out of my eye. 7-year-old me.
Yeah, I think I ended up turning off that game. I don't think I watched the whole game. Because by that point, I knew that I was working the Super Bowl for Best Buy. And so when it was looking like I was going to have to cater to Eagles fans, like, the week before the Super Bowl, I turned it off. And I think I just kind of went to bed. I don't even think I did anything for the rest of that day.
That's tough. That really is tough. Now let's brighten things up a little bit. How long do you think it'll take for JJ McCarthy to start?
Oh boy, I think Sam Darnold starts week 1. My dad is very adamant that it'll be the Sam VP. In fact, he plans on doing a Sam chant instead of a skull chant for Sam Darnold. I am the belief system. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, keep going.
Okay. I am of the belief system that we'll probably see him after the bye. I think he will probably come in towards the end of the game, week 7, just so that way he gets a feel for that Detroit Lions defense. I would love it if he started week 8, if that was his first official start against the Rams at home, because I feel like in LA, because I think even though it is an away game, I think getting him used to primetime early is key, especially when, everything with Kirk Cousins in primetime is kind of covered all over the Minnesota Vikings, that we can't play in primetime. So I think getting him comfortable in primetime early on, especially in an NFL caliber game, is essential. But at the end of the day, I really think it depends on how well Sam Darnold does. If we start Darnold and it's not looking good, I see JJ McCarthy starting as early as week 4. If Sam Darnold is doing fine, like I said, I see him coming in after the bye. If Sam Darnold is doing good, I see him starting to come in towards the later end of the season, maybe week 10. just because probably by that point we're like that close to getting the North or that close to clinching our playoff division or our playoff spot. Excuse me.
I can't really imagine them just chanting like "boom boom Sam, boom boom Sam." That's so weird. I wouldn't really like that much.
Me neither. My dad is adamant on it though, to the point where he picked me up from the airport. He was doing it in the car. I was like, please stop.
What? Sounds kind of like my dad. He'll do a cringy chant and just like never stop.
Exactly. It's like mandatory for dads.
Yeah, that's why they have dad jokes. They're meant to be cringy.
Exactly.
But I do think that JJ McCarthy will definitely get the training, the experience, and the learning process that he needs. I don't really feel comfortable I don't feel comfortable with him starting away from US Bank Stadium. I want the fans to cheer for him on his first career start. But that's just me. You know, I think that it's really important to have your like first game back or first start in the league in front of your home crowd, for them to experience that in person and for them to actually cheer for you and for you to be there to see what it's like to actually finally start in your home field. I think that's something that's very important. And I hope that the start for JJ McCarthy is in US Bank Stadium. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And lastly, team record prediction.
Okay. So I have 3. And the reason I have 3 is because I have optimistic, realistic, and pessimistic. My optimistic, 13-4. I know it's out there, but my optimistic, like I said last night with the guys, 13-4. My realistic, I'm looking at probably 9-8, maybe 10-7. Pessimistic, I don't see us going below 6 wins, so probably 6-11 or 7-10.
Ouch. Ouch. Well, I'd say it's either 13-4, 12-5, or 11-6 for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to double-digit wins. Double-digit wins for me. I think it's a lot more manageable now, considering that we've put ourselves in a situation where we can actually win games. We've put ourselves in a position to show teams that like we're ready. And besides, those guys, they messed up letting Brian Flores have Ivan Pace Jr. and Dallas Turner. They messed up letting, yeah, definitely. And I think I see us winning. That's all I see. Can't find the first loss, as PA would say.
Absolutely. And you know, I think I've been saying this everywhere. It's scary. Like I said, we're about to go into like uncharted territory as a Vikings community. Like we've never had a rookie quarterback taken in the top 10 of the draft. There's so many older players that are no longer on our team, but I'm ready. I was just on the One Bar show right before this, and I said like I got a good feeling. I have a really good feeling. I think the karma is finally coming our way. Of course, knock on wood, because we are Vikings fans, we're superstitious, but I got a good feeling about this. I do. I really do.
Me too. And I want to thank you for coming on.
Of course.
You guys, this is Dakota Rose on Twitter, known as Spitfire Koda. Definitely should go follow her. I know you don't post on YouTube, but I will definitely put your YouTube page in the description too.
Yeah.
Whatever it is to get fans to know you. That's really important
thank
too.
you.
Yeah, and my goal is also to get other fans like Miss Alyssa, Sal Spice, other fans like that on the show too as well. They're also big fans as well. But I want to thank you for coming on, and I want to thank you guys for watching.
Yeah,
and,
thank you so much
Skull
for having
Vikings.
me.
One last thing you want to say?
Oh gosh, what do I want to say? Well, first of all, Skull Vikings. Second of all, hi mom, and third of all, Skull Vikings.
All right.